And here we go. All right, and I'm also going to mute everybody. Okay, so exciting topic. Vacations, road trips, weekends, and this kind of encumbers everything. Even if you are a baseball mom or a hockey mom or a dance mom, and you are traveling all the time and finding yourself in situations of hotels and weekends away and road trips, college visits, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be just the long, luxurious vacation, but I'm kind of covering all the bases here. And it's kind of a question that have been asked forever and ever. What do I do when I'm on vacation? And my bestie that's chiming in here got to witness me firsthand when I first lost my weight, and I entered that decade that I never thought I'd see. We went to Punta Cana, and I was a nervous wreck about gaining any weight. And I was literally I lost sleep before going, I lost sleep while I was there. It is not an enjoyable time. And so now here I am 14 years later, and when I go on vacation now, I don't worry about it because I have figured it out, and the stress of it is not worth the time that you put into the vacation. I mean, vacations are for enjoyment. However, you should keep it at balance, because you also shouldn't throw away all of your hard work and progress, and you shouldn't surrender to your weakness of saying, well, I'm on vacation, and just look the other way, because I can tell you that I've talked to people before that have gone on vacation and come back weighing 10 pounds more, or even 5 pounds might cause you to not be able to get back on track. So whatever it is, it's not what you gain while you're there, it's the ability to regain your momentum when you return. That to me is the more important piece. If you gain a couple pounds, that could be lost. If you gain a couple pounds and you can't mentally get yourself back together, that's going to cause you to then gain it all back, then it's not worth the compromise. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and then begin the presentation. And like I said, when you first joined, if you got in at the very beginning, I did plug in some real vacation pics from my own personal trips. Not all of them are, like this one is obviously not, but I try to go away every year. And one of the things I try to do is truly have a good time, but keep everything within moderation. So these are the things that I'm going to kind of cover. Enjoying, and don't over restrict, because that is not a vacation. If you are not enjoying any of the food, if you are weighing and measuring everything, if you are calculating everything, that is not a vacation. It's also not good for your kids to see you so uptight about it as well. The other one is don't over enjoy and under restrict, because the mindset of I'm on a vacation and I'm here to eat and not follow any of the rules is counterproductive as well. So this kind of rolls into number 3, set guidelines. And all of you that have been asking and all of you that have been so excited about this presentation know that going into this is all about setting these guidelines. And if you go with setting guidelines, you're going to be absolutely fine. Oops, I went too far. All right, so number 4, be realistic. Don't think you're going to go and not have any alcoholic beverages if you like to have your beach drinks, and don't think you're going to go and not have any ice cream. So plug in those little those little treats, know that that's going to happen, but don't surrender to your weakness. And that's what I talked about earlier. Don't just cave to everything while you're there and say, oh, forget it. I'm on vacation. I'm just gonna forget everything. Because that point of weakness is so easy to do while you're there, and you will regret it. So number 6, pick your indulgences. Just like you do here, you pick your indulgences all day long. It should be no different while you're there. While you're on vacation, you do have a lot more indulgences, and you are faced with a lot more things that are tempting. But if you are set up with the mindset, you should be able to do this just fine. And this kind of rolls into my number 7. Follow the 80-20 rule, and I'm going to talk about that. 80% on track, 20% have some fun. And then number 8, do the free, the easy, and the obvious. And I will talk about that when we get there. Okay, so vacation, time to enjoy, unwind, everything in moderation. Don't have it because it's there. Have it because you want it. Have a plan and pick your indulgences. So, ice cream. Let's talk about this. Whether you're on vacation, whether it's a road trip, whether it's a weekend, ice cream's a typical stop that the family might make. If this is something that you are wanting to have, I'm just throwing ice cream as an example. You have a few choices. If you really want the ice cream, you can have the ice cream. There's again, the moderation of what type of ice cream you're going to have. You can either look at the choices and go, I'm going to have this 1 scoop of ice cream, calculate it out in your head, know that this is a 200-calorie treat, and you can enjoy it. This is not going to derail you. This is not going to throw off your progress. You could also say, well, I'm on vacation. I'm going to enjoy myself. And then you can go with the double scooper. This is not typically something that you would have if you were not on vacation. This is not something you would typically have, the chocolate one, the single scoop. So having the single scoop while you're on vacation is an indulgence. If you're on vacation for 7 days or 4 days, and you know you're going to have ice cream every day, you're going to have a sweet treat every day, you don't have to go overboard and do the double, because this is just going to amplify things. So having an indulgence without having an indulgence is what you have to keep your mind set to. And so often when I go on vacation, I see the quadruple scooper. And you can enjoy yourself just as much by having something in moderation. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, okay? And this goes with anything, not just ice cream. This goes with drinking, this goes with food, this goes with portions. So being mindful of it. Also, I had this epiphany one year when I finally decided to have ice cream instead of not having ice cream. I thought, you know, this protein casein pudding that I have every night is about 250 calories, right? I have it every night. You guys know that it's on your meal plan. You're allowed to have it. It's got 25 grams of protein and it's part of the diet. When I'm on vacation and I have my ice cream for 250 calories, mind you, it's not the same. You know, this is the vacation treat's got sugar and it's not got the protein and everything. But for 1 week or for 4 days or for that small portion of time, it's only a caloric exchange of 250 to 250. Your body is not going to get thrown off by the change of protein to sugar by 1 week. It is exactly 250 to 250. And so the year that I decided to go, you know, I'm going to have 250 calories worth of ice cream every day. And Kim, you can chime in. And she watched me do it. And I was very diligent about making sure it was exactly 250. I mean, I wasn't a freak about it. I was very like, I just walked up there and I made sure it was about 250 calories. If it didn't taste good, I didn't eat it because I wasn't going to waste it on that. It's another thing we do when we're on vacation. We're like, oh, free food. Nah, doesn't taste good, but we finish it. Eat it if you want it. Don't eat it if you don't. And so I got home from this trip and I had not gained an ounce, and it was literally an even exchange. Now, had I kept eating moose tracks every night for the next, 4 weeks or 4 months, I'm sure there would have been a difference on the scale. But this was a refreshing change. And to be quite honest, I couldn't wait to get home and eat my casein pudding again. It was actually really something I was looking forward to coming home and enjoying. So keep that in mind when you are on vacation. All the things that you eat now, the muffins that you eat for 80 calories each, those are not going to be with you when you're on vacation. So, you're swapping those out for other things. And like I said, you're on vacation. The macros might not be aligned perfectly, but this is 1 week. Your body is not going to panic over the difference, especially if it is premeditated. It's thing that you have considered and you had it in moderation. It's not impulsive. It is not something that you've done without thinking about, and it's not something that you didn't plan out portion-wise. All right, so as far as your meals, I like to implement what I call the newborn baby strategy. And if you have never had kids, think of it as, well, if you either had a child or a pet, newborn babies have to eat every 2 to 3 hours, okay? And so when you are on vacation or you're on a road trip or you are on a sporting event, you have to be prepared as if you had a newborn child with you. And those of you that are moms, think back to when you brought the baby home. You would never leave the house without a bag equipped with food for your child and toddlers, whatever. Moms are just infamous for that. We leave with diaper bag, we leave with change of clothes and snacks and all that. So that is the kind of mindset you should have when you're traveling. Whether it's, again, a road trip, a college visit, a overseas vacation, and you're on the plane for 4 hours, you have to think in 3 hours, I'm going to need food. So your mental meal plan, you have an idea of when your next meal is going to be. And if you have no idea, then have a plan. If you have no idea where that airplane's going to land and if there's going to be a restaurant when it lands, then you should have something in your bag. Again, if you had a newborn baby with you or toddlers, you would have something in your bag. Same strategy. And I can tell you that that is exactly how I roll and how I think. And there is never a time where you would ever catch me without having a 3-hour gap in my day without me having some sort of food on me or knowing when or where my next meal is. And so this newborn baby strategy should apply in your life at all times. Because we are always caught in situations. Today I left the house at noon. I didn't get back until now. I had my mental strategies of when I was eating, where I was going, what I was going to stop and get if I ran out of food. That is how it is when you're on vacation at all times. So know when your next meal is, and you have to do research. So when you get to your destination, you might need to look up where grocery stores are. You might need to look up where the nearest, restaurants are and look up the menus. And if it's a grocery store, get in there, get your snacks, and don't ever assume anything. Again, back to the newborn baby. If you were carrying around this little bundle of joy, you would never assume that there would be food somewhere in your destiny of a 6-hour trip. You would not leave the house with an empty bag if this little bundle of joy was traveling with you. And so that is the same mindset that you should have for yourself, whether it's a little bag of beef jerky, whether it's a muffin, something needs to be with you because you need to know. So like I said, do your research, never assume. Your snack arsenal, that is what I was talking about the bag. Things that don't go bad, beef jerky, and I know my bestie is laughing right now because she's been with me when I cracked that open on an airplane and the whole entire plane smells, but
oh, it's disgusting.
It suits its purpose, you know, and it has protein, and you know, you have your almonds, and that will you know, satiate you. If you're going to an airport and you go through security, look and find something that you could bring on the plane, because you need to eat every 3 hours. And it's not for you, it's for that newborn baby. You need to have that with you at all times, okay? All right, so smart snacks. For air and travel, airplane foods, sandwiches, muffins, beef jerky, purchased at the airport. You can bring a sandwich on an airplane. I mean, I don't know what the guidelines are now with COVID and everything, but you can buy things after security. Don't be that person that says, oh, I'm gonna be fine. The flight's 2 hours long. Well, yes, the flight's 2 hours long, but then there might be a delay, and then you might get off at the other airport and you might not get to the food right away. That might not be what you're thinking about. So have food with you, because if you don't, you are going to overeat at the next opportunity that you have. Absolutely, you will. So that is your security blanket. Find a grocery store, get nuts, yogurts, cheese, fruit, tuna, food's on the plan. I find it interesting that I'm always telling people that are going on vacation, just eat what's on the plan. You know, the foods that are on your meal plan are not anything extraordinary. You know, you can get yogurt and nuts and apples and eggs and all this stuff at any grocery store. And even if you are at a buffet, you can snag fruits and eggs and nuts and yogurt and those things and put them in your refrigerator in your room so that you can bring those to the pool or on day events, so that you don't ever go too long without having the food. So as far as road trips go, you could prep, get you fit snacks. Of course, that's easy to do. Back to the nuts, the cheese, the eggs. Any gas station you can go into, they always have eggs. There's always nuts, beef jerky. You can bring your own chicken. I know that is something that doesn't stay long in the car, but you can bring it in a cooler and it'll last a while, at least for a road trip. Make wraps, apples, pit stop food, again, same things. Or stop at a grocery store. You don't always have to stop at a gas station. The last time I stopped at a gas station with my 4 kids, I think it was $80. So you just pull into an Aldi or something and grab a bunch of food, and that could be your road trip arsenal while you're traveling. And again, don't go too long without food, and keep the foods that you would get on your plan. But no matter what, read the labels and know the calories. I find that oftentimes when we travel, we conveniently forget that we can look at labels. We conveniently forget that we can look up calories on FitnessPal. Even if we're in a foreign country and it doesn't say the calories, or we can't read the calories, you could still do a really close estimate. And if you're not logging per se on FitnessPal because you want to take a break from it for vacation, that's fine. But you could still mentally log. You could still look at something and go, oh, that's 1,000, look it up and go, that's 1,000 calories. I'm not going to eat that. You don't have to log it, but you should at least understand that it's way out of your caloric range. So, picking your indulgences. If you are in a situation of an all-you-can-eat, the mindless eating typically will accumulate. So you need to don't over-restrict, but don't over-enjoy. So my rule here is, this is me with my papa fritas, as I call. On vacation, I have a love for French fries. So every single night, I would have my little plate of French fries. And I know it's a little plate, but there's about 10 French fries on there. And I love my French fries. You know, it's not something that I would normally eat here every day, but it's vacation and I had my French fries every single day. Because like I said, it's vacation. Did I eat mounds and mounds of them? No. Did I want to? Yes. Did I ever, maybe on a drunken evening when I had too much? Yes, I did. I did. But under most circumstances, I kept it in moderation. Same thing goes with the ice cream. You can see my tiny little bowl here with my tiny little spoon. I kept it in moderation. I enjoyed and I did not restrict. And there's that. So when it comes to the vacation rule, 80-20. So when you're not vacationing, I typically say 90-10. 90% of what you eat should be on the plan. 10% of your caloric intake should be, you know, something that you enjoy. So 1,500 calories, you 150 of it could be what you want. Well, the 80-20 vacation rule is not based on calories. The 80-20 vacation rule is based on your entire day. So when you're on vacation, 80% should be on track. 20% could be just off track. And what I mean by that is, don't eat whatever you want. As soon as you get into that eating whatever you want, we start to tip the scales, literally tip the scales, but our guard goes down because we don't realize, just like before you join this program, we don't realize how much we consume. And this goes with food and it goes with drinking, because our guard goes down. So by having that mindset of paying attention to what you're doing, you know that when you come back from your trip, because the trip will end, you have to face the warden. And this is the hardest part. And if you've been away before, coming home and facing the warden is the most frightening thing ever. And it's something that people dread. But if you have followed all of the rules that I've gone through, this is actually a really exciting moment, because you know that whatever you see displayed on here is nothing horrific. Even after a week, if you have gained 3 or 4 pounds, first off, when you fly in an airplane, the elevation causes water retention. So you're going to get a little bit of bloat from there. You're going to have some water retention just from being off schedule. More than likely, if you follow the principles and guidelines that I discussed today, you might not gain anything at all. And if you gain some weight, it's going to come off right away, making your trip a total success. So keep those principles in mind. As far as alcohol goes, can you booze and lose? If you are wanting to hear the details on this, my last podcast that I just put out has a lot of information on this. But when you're on vacation, clear liquors are the best because they do have the lowest carbohydrate and 0 sugar, and you do get the biggest bang for your buck, meaning you are getting the highest alcohol percentage to the lowest calorie. ratio. Sugarless add-ins are a must. So if you're going to do your vodka or your tequila, you don't want to have them add all the syrups. So this beauty right here is most likely not a good choice because of this drink here, it's 80% sugar, and you're not getting much alcohol. And so these little Mayo drops that you see at the bottom here.
Did you have to tell them to use those?
Sorry,
those will make you sick too.
Yeah, she had some bad experiences with this. Again, practice moderation. But these are great for vacation because these are they're found in the Crystal Light aisle. They're small. They're like they fit in your hand, and they snap shut. They come in all different flavors. And you could bring them to the pool. You could throw them in your bag. If you're on a baseball tournament and it's just easier, you could order vodka, water, and put a couple drops of these in there. And so now you have a sugarless beverage, which has no sugar, no carbs, and it's basically just straight alcohol with water. So these are the safest bet. But like Kim said here, everything in moderation. She did overdo it once or twice with the Mayo drops. So set your limits. If you're a beer drinker or a wine drinker, be careful with these because the alcohol percentage is lower. So it does take a lot more drinking for you to feel this. And if you are on vacation or away for a weekend and you start drinking earlier, you're going to consume a lot more of these and you're going to get a lot more calories in. So if you're going to drink beer or wine, make sure you are counting your beverages because the calories are going to add up. And always alternate with water, especially if you're out in warmer weather. You don't want to end up getting pulled out of the pool intoxicated. That would be bad. So avoid sugary drinks. The ones at pools and at typically vacation spots that are in those tumblers, that is all sugar. There's no way around it. So that's why it's best to just kind of bring your own, make your own. So, all right, so danger zone food. When you are dining out, even if it's somewhere around here, you should always watch for butters, creams, breadings, sauces, fried, and large portions. This is not information that you haven't heard before, but when you're on vacation and you look at the buffet and you see any of those things, you know that the calories are going to be higher. Even something like this that doesn't look super greasy, no matter what, if you were to run the calories on this, it would shock you. There's butter in this, there's cream in this. It would not be something that would be ideal. And these are the meals that people will pack pounds on and not realize. So to be safe, you want to avoid all of these items. And if it's something you can't avoid, then just watch the portion. If you're somewhere and they served you something that you know has breading or sausages or fried, then don't eat it all. Limit your portion and try to get food in elsewhere or have a snack elsewhere or find a different choice. Or if it's your only meal, try to make it up the next day by not having another really high calorie meal several days in a row. So don't surrender to your weaknesses. Caving to the temptation by default. This slide here that I just showed with that dish, oftentimes someone would get served that and they would eat it, and then that would make them feel like they were derailed, thus causing them to cave to their temptations and end up being derailed for the rest of the week. And so this is why I always say clean slate rule. If you have a bad meal or if you enjoyed yourself, if you had a really amazing meal because you wanted to have it, don't let that be a reason to just cave and throw it all away. You're on vacation, you still have goals. Remember, you still have goals. This is why you are doing this. So don't feel that while you're there, you're just going to drop your goals and drop everything. Everything in moderation. You could still have a good time without derailing. No excuses, and have that there's always a way mentality. When there's a will, there's a way. So don't look at a spread of food and go, oh, well, there's nothing here that I can eat, so I'll just take that, and then I'll take some of that and some of that and some of that. That is not the mentality that you should have. The mentality you should have is, wow, there's nothing here that I should eat. Therefore, I'm going to have just a little of this, and I'm going to pick through that one and not eat all of the breading. And I mean, there's always ways around everything. So, but again, if it's something you really want, have it. You're on vacation, but don't have it because it's there. I want to share this one vivid memory that I have of being on vacation. And we went to one of these sushi places in Punta Cana, and everybody was raving about the sushi place, you know, at the pool. So here we go to the sushi place. And of course, we're from Chicago, so we've had like the best sushi. And the sushi there was worse than gas station like sushi. It was awful. I mean, it was all rice and the fish in them. It was awful. And I looked at it and I was like, not going to touch it. But everyone around us that was eating it was complaining about, ew, this is not good sushi. But they're eating it anyways. They're like, this is awful. That piece is like 100 some calories. Why are you eating it? When the sushi shops are preparing all this fried rice, and you know they're making the hibachi thing in front of us, and you just ate 300 calories worth of awful, you just said awful sushi. So don't eat it because it's there. Don't eat it because you're on vacation. It's still calories. So change that mentality. It's not free. Every calorie counts. So practice the clean slate thinking. You're human. If you slip while you're on vacation, if you end up overdoing it when you're on vacation, I want you to look at this image. This is someone's week away. They were on the plan 70% of the time. They were off the plan 30% of the time. That's pretty good. So look at the whole picture here. I would say that this is a success. Okay, they nailed it. 30% of the time they were, but 70% of the time they really, really did a great job. I think when they get home, they're going to see a really good result. Now we have somebody else that caved to their temptation. They did really good 40% of the time. But then somewhere around day 3, they kind of caved, and then they just stayed off plan for the rest of the time. So as you can see here, all of the hard work that they put in for the first 3 days was pretty much wasted. That they worked so hard because this here offset everything. Whereas if you practice the clean slate rule and you have an indulgence, hop back on the next day or that day. You don't need to throw it all away. It's no different than what you're doing now with this program. If you have a slip or a slide, get back up, dust yourself off, and start over. Or you will be facing the consequences of this. And it's not like this is going to happen after a week, but the derailment might lead to this. So, and final note, always include the free 3s when you're vacationing, whether it's a road trip, whether it's a weekend, whether it's a travel, sports, college visit. The free 3s can be found anywhere, and they're free. Walk, run, exercise. You know, if you're not a runner, walk. When we are on vacation, we walk everywhere. So take advantage of that. Know that that is part of vacationing, and that's going to burn extra calories. So those little indulgences that you're going to get are going to get burned off anyways. But that doesn't mean you get to eat an entire platter of desserts. You know, again, everything in moderation. Hydrate. And by that, I mean water. So make sure you're drinking lots of water. We all know that water is going to help flush your system. It's going to help restore get the sodium through your system. And certainly, of course, if you are drinking alcohol, make sure that you are hydrating with water in between every drink. And of course, relax. When you are on vacation, you are stressing, you're relieving that stress. So make sure that you are going on vacation to do that. If you're going on vacation and you're so stressed about calories and about macros and about the scale, then that is not a vacation. And you are going to come home and you're going to regret it. And it's not something that you should have to worry about. And on final note, if you are going with your family, it is something that you should cherish, because it's something that you have worked really, really hard for. You've worked hard to get there. You've worked hard to be there. You've worked hard to spend time with whoever you're being with. And of course, you want to enjoy yourself, and you want to look good while you're there, and you want to look good for when you come home. So that is my spiel. Any questions?
I have two, if you don't mind. I apologize, you might hear my youngest next to me.
Okay.
One, if you are more plant-based and you're staying at all-inclusive, what would be some of your options? Because obviously beef jerky isn't one of mine.
And actually, when I was making this, I totally meant to do this and I forgot. Last year or 2 years ago, when I went to Punta Cana with my family, I actually posted every day my meals as I was eating them to the group, so that people could see, like, okay, this is what Irene's eating at the buffet. And there were my daughters, my one daughter's vegan, the other one's vegetarian. So easy. There's a multitude in Punta Cana. Oh, you and I will have a conversation. It's
okay.
Endless. And there's actually, I think Dreams had a little gluten-free table too.
What do I press?
So yeah, you'll be fine.
Perfect. And then
some of them even had the little icon at the restaurant, the little like plant-based icon.
Okay. And then the other question I'm having, and I know you said jog, I'm not having as much anxiety over the food. I'm having more anxiety knowing that the gyms there might not be open.
I ran probably a total of, one summer I ran 90 miles up and back on that shore.
Okay. Yeah. So I should be fine then. Oh, yeah. I'll just pack running stuff.
Yeah. And I actually ran barefoot, but we'll talk. Okay. I got the whole.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Any road trip questions? Any travel, sport questions? Any college questions? No? Everybody was all excited.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have one question. So how, when you go to those, like on vacation, you go to a restaurant, you go to a buffet, stop at a gas station, doesn't matter. It's very hard to log it because you don't know what it's made with. You don't know. So how do you, I find myself skipping the login of anything that is like, if even on a weekend, if I go to a restaurant, I try to pick the healthiest thing, I'll look it up. You can't find the exact thing. And we've done you did another talk about that.
Yeah.
But like on a vacation when it's every meal, like
that's a really good question. And skipping it is well, on vacation, it's one thing if you aren't going to log, but skipping it is the last thing you should do, because what happens when we skip it is it causes us to, in our brains, go, okay, well, it's free time. It's like, okay, I'm not logging now. It's It's open. So what you should do is make the closest guess that you can. So let's just say you're going to some little hut of a restaurant that off some beaten path, and there's no way of knowing at all of what the calories are. Then go on FitnessPal, find a meal that is the closest to that, and put it in there. If anything, it's a holding spot. It might not be right, but it's the documentation of what you ate. It might be 200 calories too much. It might be 200 calories too little. But what that's doing is it's causing you to know that you are within your calorie range, and it's not going to then allow you to go, oh, well, then let's have ice cream. I mean, that's typically what happens, is especially when we're on vacation. And I had this conversation with someone just this week where she wasn't logging at restaurants when she would go out. And then I said, okay, so then what happens after the restaurant? Do you eat after the restaurant? She goes, yeah. And I go, what do you eat? And she goes, whatever. I said, see, that's why. Because you have allowed yourself to not log at that point, and then the whatever comes, and you know that whatever's coming, so you're not going to log. FitnessPal actually now has, you can scan, you can go on FitnessPal, and I activated it once, but there's a way to scan your plate, and you hold it over your plate. Mm-hmm. Yep. I'll have to look at it, but there's a way to scan your plate, and you hold it over your plate, and it takes a picture of your plate, and then it gives an approximate idea of what's on your plate. And so it's not even close, but if you had like a steak, a potato, and broccoli, it would recognize that. And then it would, just like when you put in a recipe, it would say steak, potato, broccoli, and then you would have to tweak the amounts. If anything, do that, because then at least you have some number. Whether it's right or wrong, our bodies aren't that sensitive to 100 or 200 or 300 calories, but our brains are, in the sense of that will derail you to repeatedly not log.
So if you like today I had went to a restaurant, had avocado toast, right? Mm-hmm. If I go to FitnessPal, I type that in, I get a range anywhere from like 170 to 700 calories, like depending on. Okay. So what do you just pick in the middle?
No. So good question. I'm glad you said that. What I would do is I would dismantle that. I would put in toast. I would put in avocado. I would look at the avocado toast if I went out to breakfast, and I would say there's a piece of toast, there's avocado about how much, there's an egg on there, there's a slice of tomato, there's cheese. I would put it in as a meal separately, because you're right, avocado toast is all over the place.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so and that's exactly what I would do. Now if I was going to a Mexican restaurant and I had enchiladas, I would put in enchilada, you know. But if it was a salad, I wouldn't even put in salad, because there's 1,000 different salads. I would look at the salad and I would go, all right, that looks like 6 ounces of chicken, there's avocado on there. I would put everything in separately. I know it's a pain, but you kind of get into the hang of doing that. Yeah. Or when you're on vacation, this is what I did one year. I just looked at my plate and kind of went, I mean, I know my calories really well, and you might too, but I would look at my plate and go, okay, that's 100, 200, 300. Okay, my plate's got 500 calories. And in my head, I would put like 5 tally marks. And I knew I just needed to stay within my 1,500 calories. That's it. I didn't care about anything else. Like I just did little tallies. Because, you know, again, it was vacation. So that's kind of how I did it that way. So. And even with restaurants, I guess if you know that you're around your caloric range, that's another way to do it. Any other questions?
I have a comment, I guess. I just came back from vacation. I was in Florida, and a couple of times I did go out to a restaurant, and I was like, okay, what would Irene do? And I didn't have my phone with me. I didn't have any technology, we'll say, So I had old-fashioned pen and paper, and I just wrote down on a napkin what I was eating. So when I got back home, I was able to either enter it in FitnessPal and or I bought a notebook so I could, give myself a break from FitnessPal. I was able to still write it down and still had some kind of accountability for myself of what I was eating and not going off the rail.
Yep. And that's a great idea, because I was going to say, depending on where you are in the program, if you're someone that's been logging for 6 months, I would tell you, take a break from it. You're on vacation, if you feel like you can. Writing it down on a piece of paper is great. The first year that I did it, there was no technology to do, there was no cell technology, so I couldn't use FitnessPal. And so I just did it on the notepad in here, and I just kept track of it. And then as I trusted myself more, I just did the mental thing where I would look and go, okay, well, that ice cream's 200 calories. My breakfast was 300, just to kind of keep it real. But if you know what the worth is of the calories, you're not going to order a chocolate martini for 700 calories. Like, that is what you're going to do wrong if you don't look up something that might be really, really high, and you have it 3 times a day for 7 days. I mean, that's going to mess you up. But yeah, that's a great idea. Just jot it down on a piece of paper. Taking a break from FitnessPal is so nice, especially if you're new. It's just a nice break. And then you actually, again, you miss it. I mean, my husband and I, again, we might be a little out there, but we after 7 days on vacation, we just look at each other and go, do you miss the food scale? I'm like, yeah, like I miss it too. Because you can't wait to get back into your routine, and so it's nice to have a break from that all, and then come back and gear up on that if you're ready, so. Oh, and then one thing I forgot, and I put that image of the scale in there just to remind me, and I put this in the podcast. I'm always asked, should I bring my scale on vacation? I'm against that for a couple of reasons. One, packing up your scale and bringing it on vacation is bordering on being obsessive, and I know we're all obsessive in some way, but you're on vacation. And if you are going to be weighing yourself and worrying about that, it defeats the purpose of being on vacation. I think at any point in time, we should all be able to trust ourselves in knowing you've been on this enough to know what you're doing and trusting the process, that you're not going to do that much damage. You could step away from the scale for a week or so. Two, when you travel with the scale, especially if you're going to take it on an airplane, it's going to get all recalibrated and messed up, and it's just not worth taking the chance that it's going to be messed up. If you're traveling and you go to the gym and weigh yourself in Mexico, it's not going to be the same number. If you're weighing yourself at grandma's house, it's not going to be the same number. So don't freak out if you can't weigh yourself for a week. And if you have children, they shouldn't see you packing up your scale and your food scale and it's you want this to be a healthy lifestyle. You don't want it to puff on the edge of you being dependent on this, because as you continue on this program and as you go through the tiers with me, the biggest thing that I teach is the sustainability of this and keeping this weight off. And one of the things that you eventually will learn is how to trust yourself and not having to log everything and eventually not having to weigh everything, but having to always weigh yourself, but not having to obsess with it, because that can get into a very slippery slope. So as far as bringing the scales with you, I say leave them at home, and it's kind of like a fun challenge to come home and hop on the scale and see how you did, or like I did once, hop on the airport luggage scale to see how I did. But that's another story. So questions on that? Okay. Now that we all want to go on vacation, I feel like I'm preparing you guys off for like a field trip. All right, you guys. Well, if no one else has questions, look for my podcast next week. I try not to repeat a lot of the things that I covered tonight on the podcast so that you can enjoy that as well. So, all right. All right. Margaritas for everyone. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Right.
Thanks.